Welcome back. Let's get started. Before starting the video, do like, share and comment. If you have any queries regarding the video, do let me know in the comments and I will try solving them. Let's get started with vestigial organs. So what are vestigial organs? Vestigial organs are degenerated or underdeveloped useless organs of organisms. Degenerated or underdeveloped. Now because of evolution, these organs became underdeveloped or are useless in the current generation. But does that mean these organs had no significance earlier? No. These organs were very important to our ancestors, or they did play an important role in our ancestors. But because of the principle of natural selection, as you can see in the third point, by the principle of natural selection, these organs became useless to the current generation. Now, as I told you in the previous video, that evolution is not a fast process, it is a very slow process. Hence, this organ also underwent degeneration over a long period of time. It takes thousands of years or millions of years for a particular organ to degenerate. These organs were useful to our ancestors, but they are not useful to us. These organs are useful to other animals, but they are not useful to us. Now let's know, or let's understand this in more detail as we go to the next slide. Okay, as you can see the last diagram is of appendix. Appendix is of no use, or is a vestigial organ, or is a useless organ in the current generation, in the current human beings. But it was very useful for our ancestors. Why? Why was appendix useful for our ancestors? You should know that appendix is used for digestion of cellulose. Now what is cellulose? Cellulose is found in raw food, यानी कि कच्चे मांस में आपको क्या मिलता है? अपेंडिक्स। और कच्चे मांस में आप क्या रहता है? सेलुलोज। एंड सेलुलोज को डाइजेस्ट करने के लिए क्या लगता है आपको? अपेंडिक्स। अपेंडिक्स इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर डाइजेशन ऑफ सेलुलोज. सिंस ancestors used to eat raw food, hence the body required appendix to digest it. Similarly, the wisdom teeth. Wisdom teeth is a vestigial organ or is useless to us, but it was of significance to our ancestors. अगर हमारे लिए यूजलेस है तो हमारे ancestors के लिए यूजफुल कैसे होगा? The same example over here. Our ancestors used to eat raw food. Now to chew and bite raw food is difficult. Hence they had an extra set of teeth called as a wisdom teeth. But why is wisdom teeth and appendix useless in the current generation? It's basically because that we eat boiled and cooked food. Boiled and cooked food does not contain cellulose. Hence appendix is not required for digestion of cellulose. Similarly, boiled and cooked food is easy to chew and easy to digest. Hence wisdom teeth is not required. Let's go on to the next example, that is the ear muscle. The external ear. The external ear is also called as pinna. Pinna is a vestigial organ or is a useless organ in humans, but it is of use to other animals. Other animals like monkeys, dogs, cows, elephants, they move their pinna to hear a particular sound. They move their pinna to hear sound from a particular direction. But why is the pinna vestigial in humans? It is vestigial in humans because to move to hear a particular sound, to listen to a particular sound, I can move my neck in this direction, I can move my neck in that direction, right? Humans can move their neck, hence the pinna is not required in humans. Hence the pinna becomes a vestigial organ in humans. Then you come on to the tailbone. Now the tailbone. Now this what does it signify? Tailbone signifies that humans have evolved from apes. Humans have evolved from apes. Humans के ancestors कौन थे? Apes थे. मतलब हम obviously apes had tails. Now the tail disappeared, but उसका एक small part क्या रह गया? Tailbone रह गया. So what does a tailbone signify? That the tailbone signifies that a tail was present in our ancestors, but it is not present in us, and the tailbone is a evidence that we have evolved from apes. Clear on this? Let's move on. Then you come on to the next evidence that is called as the paleontological evidences. Paleontological evidences. Study of fossils is called as paleontology. Study of fossil is called as paleontology. अभी फॉसिल्स में क्या क्या आ सकता है? कोई भी एनिमल्स का रिमेन्स आ सकता है, ओके, उनका एक्सक्रीटा आ सकता है, स्केलेटन आ सकता है, या फिर रिमेन्स ऑफ डेड बॉडीज आ सकता है, ओके. Now, study of such parts of skeletons, remains of ancient animals is called as paleontology. Or study of fossils is called as paleontology, and evidences based on them is called as paleontological evidences. Are called as paleontological evidences. Now, study of fossils is an important aspect of study of evolution. Now you know, or we know, that dinosaurs existed a particular time ago. Dinosaurs existed a particular time ago. As you can see in the picture, the first two are fossils of dinosaurs. But how do we know that dinosaurs existed a particular time ago? How do we know? Because we got their fossils. We got their fossils through the process of excavation. Excavation is a process of digging ground to get certain things from the ground. And as they were digging, they got the fossils of dinosaurs. So this signifies that dinosaurs existed a particular time ago and now they are extinct. They are no more. Okay. So to find your age, you have your birth certificate. To find the age of a tree, you can count the rings of a tree. But how would you know how old a fossil is? How would you know how old a fossil is? This is done by the carbon dating method. This is done by a carbon dating method. Now understand, there are two types of carbon in every living organism. It's carbon 12 and carbon 14. Carbon 12 and carbon 14. Now, once a particular organism dies, the carbon 14, the amount of carbon 14 in this body goes on decaying. Why does it decay? Because carbon 14 is unstable. Carbon 14 is unstable. It goes on decaying with time. Okay. And it will take millions of years for carbon 14 to decay. Okay. Now, as carbon 14 decays, so how will you find the age of a particular organism? You can find the age of a particular organism by finding the ratio of carbon 14 to carbon 12. You can find the age of a particular fossil by finding the ratio of carbon 14 to carbon 12. Hence you will know that this particular organism is this much year old. Clear on this? How effective is the carbon dating method? A fact to know that a carbon dating method is used for fossils which are 60,000 years old. Okay, and if you want to know if the fossil is older than 60,000 years old, which technique is used, do let me know in the comments. I'll be answering them in the comments. Let's move ahead. Then you come on to connecting link. This is very interesting to know about the connecting links. What is a connecting link? A connecting link shows characteristic features of two organisms. मतलब क्या होता है? एक ग्रुप होता है. एक ग्रुप shows characteristics of two different groups. It means that you have group A. Group A है. Group A shows characteristics of group B and C. Group A shows characteristics of group B and C. Let's get started. Now, suppose you have two different groups. First group is called Annelida and the second group is called Arthropoda. First group is called Annelida and the second group is called Arthropoda. Let's discuss the characteristics of Annelida. Annelida का example है earthworm. Annelida का example है earthworm. So when you think about an earthworm, what comes to your mind? A thin body, segmented body, a body with cuticle. Cuticle का मतलब एक hard covering होती है जो body को cover करती है. And parapodia. Parapodia means small legs for locomotion. Small legs for locomotion. Okay. So when you think about Annelida, what comes to your mind? Thin body, segmented body, cuticle है और क्या है? Parapodia है. नेक्स्ट ग्रुप है आर्थ्रोपोडा. आर्थ्रोपोडा का एग्जाम्पल है हनी बीज. ना हनी बीज they respire through trachea. Honey bees respire through trachea and they have open circulatory system. Now what is open circulatory system? इसका मतलब हनी बीज के अंदर कोई ब्लड वेसल्स नहीं है, कोई क्लोज सिस्टम नहीं है. मतलब हार्ट से लेके ब्लड्स तक ऐसा कोई सिस्टम नहीं है. They do not have any blood system, hence it is blood vessels, hence it is not a closed system, it is an open circulatory system. नेक्स्ट वी हैव टू डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स. एक Annelida का ग्रुप है, एक आर्थ्रोपोडा का ग्रुप है, यानी अर्थवर्म का ग्रुप है और एक हनी बीज का ग्रुप है. You have an organism which is called as peripatus. You have an organism which is called as peripatus. Peripatus is a connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. क्यों? Because peripatus में ये सारी characteristics है. Peripatus has thin body, segmented body, cuticle है, parapodia है, ट्रैकिया से रिस्पायर करता है और it has parapodia, it has open circulatory system. It has open circulatory system. मतलब इसमें एक पेरीपैटस में दोनों भी ग्रुप्स के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं. मीन्स व्हाट? पेरीपैटस इज द कनेक्टिंग लिंक बिटवीन ग्रुप Annelida and Arthropoda. Clear on this? We come on to the next example, that is the duck-billed platypus. The duck-billed platypus. Now, what does a duck-billed platypus do? The duck-billed platypus is a connecting link between reptiles and mammals. Between reptiles and mammals. Now, reptiles and mammals के बीच में connecting link है कौन? Duck-billed platypus. Now, let's know about certain characteristics of reptiles. Reptiles का example है crocodile and mammals का example है humans. Mammals का example है humans, whales. Okay, so let's talk about characteristics of reptiles. Reptiles क्या करते हैं? Reptiles lay eggs. Reptiles lay eggs. And what do mammals? What are the characteristics of mammals? Mammals have hairy body and have mammarous glands. They have hairy body and have mammarous glands. They have hairy body and mammarous glands. Okay, so how is duck-billed platypus a connecting link between these two groups? Reptiles and mammals के बीच में connecting link group कैसा है? Because duck-billed platypus lays eggs like reptiles and it has hairy body and has mammary glands like mammals do. मतलब समझे, duck-billed platypus is the connecting link between reptiles and. Now you can see the other example is of the lungfish. Now normally fish कहाँ से respire करते हैं? Fish कहाँ से respire करते हैं? Fish respires through gills. But lungfish is a special fish. What does lungfish do? Lungfish respires through lungs. It does lungs. It does not have gills. It respires through lungs. So okay, these are evidences that a group is a connecting link between two different groups. Let's move ahead. We go on to embryological evidences. So comparative study of embryonic development stages of various vertebrates given in the picture shows that all embryos show extreme similarities during initial stages and those similarities decrease gradually. Now as you can see the first row check करो. First row है एक fish है, salamander है, tortoise है, chick है, hog, calf, rabbit and human. Hog is also called a pig. Okay, so the first row, if you check the first row, what do you observe in the first row? If you observe the first row clearly, okay, if you observe the first row, what do we notice in this? That all the embryos look identical. All the embryos look identical. जैसे कि human का embryo looks identical to a fish, or fish का embryo looks identical to a salamander. What's a salamander? Salamander is a animal which looks similar to a lizard. So just a fact. Okay. So what do we notice in this? That all the embryos look identical. So as they develop, in the second row you see there are certain changes, and as they grow in the third row you can see some more changes. But अगर आप first row में check करोगे कि all the embryos look similar, इसका मतलब क्या होगा कि ये सारे organisms they had a common ancestor. These organisms had a common ancestor. All these organisms had a common ancestor. Thank you.